I didn't film this. I probably should have. I did a little bit of damage, but honestly, it doesn't matter. It was all rotted out. I didn't know it was all that bad. I got this wood stove right here, pulled out of there, that was just sitting there doing nothing. And we're gonna try to get this into the garage to use that as heat in the garage. I'm not sure how well all this is going to work out, but we got it cleared out. I'm a filthy mess now. But let's make sure, hopefully we get there without tipping over or something. But this is how you do it when you don't have a forklift. I'm going to back it in, because at this point I'm not sure I'm going to take it off yet. And I forgot I had another project I'm doing. I can't go back. Hold on, I'm gonna have to move that stuff. I got another project I'm in the process of doing. I gotta move that cement. I think those are off. Yeah, they're off. And I do have to do those. Check those later. All right, well, she's on the ground for the most part. I'm gonna have to lower that a little more. I don't like having the bucket up. All right, that I can live with. The back side of the bucket's on the floor. But, well, that's how you improvise. But I had wrapped the chains all around. I was lifting it out with the bucket, and this piece here opened up, flipped over, and the thing just ripped it ripped the side of my bulkhead right out. And honestly, it was going to collapse anyways. It was all rotted. I had no idea. So I'm kind of glad it happened. But let me just real quick show you what we did to fix it. And I think what I've done to this point, well, you'll see. Haven't cleaned all of this out yet, but up in here, this whole section right up in here, and I'll show you the other side so you really understand what was going on. But the 2x4s that I put in here to hold this side up, and then right up like in here, this piece here just basically is holding the bulkhead door down so that it doesn't slide back down inside. And this is how they built it originally. I'm not sure why they would build it that way. There's really no support along this beam here. Just comes all the way down. Well, this one's in good shape. I still have to do the front. I'll put another little brace in here to hold the, the cover open, or rather, so it doesn't collapse in when the snow comes in. But this is just boxed in. There's literally nothing but plywood behind that foam board, and none of what I had built right here. This should at least hold it so that when the snow comes off the roof, crashes onto the bulkhead, hopefully the snow won't crash through, and I won't have a big pile of snow in the basement. All right, guys, I'm a little pressed for time on this one. It's been a couple of days. I opened this up just to kind of inspect some of my work and to see how bad the rest of the damage was, and it's a lot worse than I thought. I'm gonna try to get you some footage of this. And Maisie, come on, knock it off. I'm like, what is this, maybe 10 feet away? Yeah, okay. But I'm gonna try to get you some footage of how we're gonna do this repair. I think honestly, if I hadn't gone any further to inspect, it probably would have lasted the winter, but not if I was opening and closing it. And part of the reason I had to open it was I had to inspect it because I do need to load some more firewood down there. So this is what we got. I pulled this apart. I opened up the door. I pulled all this out. Where is it? Yeah, look at all this wood right here. This was all at the front. This wood down in here, you can see it's all rotted. This was all part of it, just pulled right out of whatever they had screwed it to. So we're just gonna kind of continue this little mess. And up in here, I'm not liking this too much, but this should be all right, at least for one winter. I'm hoping maybe next winter we could put a bulkhead in. I haven't really decided yet, but you can see my fix up here a little better. I managed to wedge this up in here, and then down over here, you can see this is how it should have been built, like that. But over here, you can see there's nothing. This just here, and then this here. That's all that's literally holding this thing up. Just basically boxed in. There was nothing there. I grant it was holding. The wood rotting out, well, there's not much they could have done about that. It probably would have lasted a little longer, I think, if they had put pressure treated lumber in, which, by the way, I happen to have found. I did have some. I got one piece here. I hate using it because I had some other plans for it, but this is as good as any. All right, so we've just kind of boxed that in right now. I closed this off. I'm gonna go down below, make some markings so I know where to kind of frame that off a little bit too, so that it has something to rest on. With the door closed, I can see where I want to put the lip, if you will, for the door to actually rest on when it's closed. I kind of just made a marking right here. Yeah, this stuff is not going to be square. I made another marking here. I don't know how well you can see that down here, but this is all off center. I'm going to have to build out a little something here so that it has a little something to rest on besides that. But this is good and solid. Definitely will hold for the winter. This piece, good and solid. fact I'm even putting my hand there tells you I trust it, because that would crush my hand if it fell in. And over here is definitely good and solid. The door itself should not collapse. The outer edges, well, who knows? But I'm fairly certain even the outer edges will hold at least through the winter. And then we'll look into maybe putting a bulkhead in. Like I said, I'm pressed for time, and I don't want to pay someone else to do it. And we're coming up on winter. By the time I get the bulkhead here and all that, it's going to end up being snowing. And so we're just going to do this temporary fix for now. So all I've done basically is this here is just kind of tying in the two ends so that it doesn't hopefully shift. This down here is just so that these parts here of the door have something to rest on. Here, here, and all along up in there. That way when snow crashes down onto it, it's not going to want to have itself cave right directly into the bulkhead. See, because if you look up top, I've got a steel roof up there. And in the winter time, when the sun hits that, the snow comes right off that, comes crashing down on that bulkhead, and it's loud. So I'm certain it would have eventually caved in, especially given the condition it was in. But this should get us through the winter, I think. Now, I gotta get all that bark mulch picked up. I'm gonna put it in the bucket. I'm gonna put it up in that bucket, up in the tractor. And then we're gonna dump that, and I gotta get some more firewood in, and after that I gotta get some more bricks because I ran out of bricks, but we got plenty more bricks.